I'm Juan Carlos Diaz, Pan American Health Organization. I have a question about how was the experience about convincing the users to use the phone beyond communicating by voice? How do you convince the users to give the data, and how do they get some feedback about that the data they sent were used for one action? Thank you.
Well, if you look at Wikipedia and see the languages of Wikipedia, I don't know how many of you do this, but go look at the page that tells you how many Wikipedias there are. So there are about 200, 300 Wikipedias, ranked by language pages. So English is up there with a couple of million pages. And I think German's bringing up next with maybe 1 million pages. If you go down, the first African language you hit's number, I think it was 76. Kiswahili shows up. And they're only 6,000 or 8,000 pages. I could do 6,000 or 8,000 pages tomorrow in Tanzania and Kenya in Swahili by just having somebody write a page about a bug they know or a soccer star or something, and amplify the amount of language-specific knowledge and culture-specific knowledge, admittedly in a written form. Well, today we've got written. This thing, this new Kindle thing that was being announced by, reads the book to you in whatever language the book is written. Now we're beginning to come to the deep secret of why cell phones are so popular. I don't have to type. I don't have to be literate. I can talk. So the moment the world becomes more civilized, keyboards are not civilized, the moment the world becomes more civilized and you can talk to it, then these issues about data acquisition, how do you persuade people to do it? Oh, they won't, it's too complicated. That stuff goes away. I use, as does the New York Times columnist on technology, I use a speech-to-text program. I can talk, and the thing types. Oh, what a change. So suddenly, you can all send Ann email that's long. You can get it in the bar at night and say, Ann, I've got to tell you this. And it'll all type it for you. And then before you have to think about it again, you can send it to her, and then she'll have it. So I think there are some.
And I'll get even less sleep than I already do.
No sleep, no sleep. You're doomed. But I think to answer your question, it's very hard today with clunky, ugly technology to get anybody to use it. It's like telling kids to use educational software. The kids see right through you. It's boring. I'm not going to do it. If it's a game, oh my. So it may sound a little silly, but gaming, how do you get to kids? Music and games. So if it's not music and games, don't do it, because it's not going to get people interested. Music, games, and flirting.
One of the, we work with an organization in West Africa called TOSTAN, which is a community-based approach to many behavior changes. But one of the things that they have noticed is in the last couple of years how many cell phones had come into the communities. And so they have now begun a program. All these women mostly are illiterate. And so we're now working with this organization to look at how do we text for literacy, teaching reading and writing through texting so that people can communicate. Because actually, unlike the US, it's much cheaper to text than talk in many parts of Africa. So there's lots of new uses and new opportunities for these kinds of things.
That's true. I think of the codes people used to do, 2 rings followed by 3 rings means, I didn't have to pay anything.
Okay, I'm going to take one more question back here because we're running a little bit over.
Yes, thank you. I'm Jörg Staudenmann. I work for UNDP. And we are working currently on a project called waterwiki.net. This is a wiki that tries to, sorry for my voice, I'm just still recording. It's a wiki that tries to do exactly that, bring the UN agencies together and the UN agencies' knowledge about water together, to make it accessible, and in a wiki format also to open it up to some extent for editing and for feedback. Now, what we discover often is not that it's technology that is the limit. It's not complicated to do it. You can come over these barriers. What is complicated, it seems, it's a cultural issue. People with knowledge are not always ready to share it because knowledge still is perceived as power. Now, my question, do you see a change in this behavior? Is possibly the new technology helping to change that behavior? Is there something on the horizon to see that this is going to change? Because that's a fundamental issue.
I'll take a shot at that. One of the problems with most new technologies, all those in power keep track because they're worried, and anything that they see that's emerging, they will make use of to maintain power. That's the fundamental rule. Always keep track so that nobody can sneak up behind you, you know. And people that have power have money to do that, and people that don't have power or money find it very hard. But the revolutionary change comes, and all this is free, and there's a way to get access to it, and bubbles of knowledge pop up without asking permission. So that's the hope, you know. So in the Wiki project, I think I was in a cafe a day ago, and someone there was doing a little class about how to pour concrete. And I was just sitting at the next table. I learned more listening to this guy just answer questions. Don't do this. Oh, that'll break. Oh, no, don't. It's just normal human transmission of knowledge. We in the rich world don't. In the old days, when a kid actually knew what their parent did, now what happens? Goodbye. This is why you have daughters at work, because the daughters have no clue. What do you do all day? Well, I go to meetings. That's my life. I answer email. It's hard to explain why they pay you to do this, but no, so for a kid to get a sense of what is their possible life like, it's not as if they're an apprenticeship at the knee of someone that's, you know, building a plow or farming. We become dissociated in being able to convey what it is that we do. So I think some of these, I hesitate to use this phrase, social networks, but what you find is that people bond together around music or an interest or a picture, and as these tools become cheap, I mean, this thing has a camera in it, all this Flickr imagery, you put a picture up of someone in UNDP that did something with a pump somewhere, and put that picture up and let them talk about the picture rather than typing at a wiki page, and people will begin to see it. Look at the YouTube explosion. So I would give every person working for UNDP or for UNICEF a little cheap camera, and boy, are they getting cheap. And wherever you go, you just take some pictures and you stick it up someplace and you talk about what it was. Today I saw someone that actually made the pump work here and cleaned the water up there, and then I saw a place where we drilled a well, and so much better than the other well, but nobody's using it, and they told us it's because their grandfather did the well they use and they won't ever use something. So you get the story behind it rather than imposing a view of why people behave the way they do. That lets this texture of human understanding begin to build. And so I think you're doing exactly the right thing, and we have to expand it into all these other forms.